All right, my friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk to you about AMD and the fear of switching from Nvidia over to AMD. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are confused. They want to see it, but they just don't. There's just too much fear. There's so many negative things out there on the internet about AMD and their GPUs and their drivers and black screens and all kinds of stuff. So I want to go ahead and give you my opinion on that. First of all, I've been rocking AMD for 7 months now. I had a 4070. I just got rid of it. I don't have any need for any Nvidia GPUs now. But here's the thing. I had switched from the 3080 over to the 7900 XT back in July, and in the beginning of July, and I've been rocking that pretty much ever since. And like seriously, like right after I got that card, the funny thing is the experience was so freaking good that I immediately just was like, yep, I'm selling the 3080. It was that much better over that experience that I was like, yeah, this is awesome. So most of my content is formed for AMD now. Like I'm gonna cover AMD pretty much exclusively. I don't necessarily have any desire to get any more Nvidia cards, and the reason I'm looking at that way is because then every generation I can get, you know, like the top end AMD card, the mid class or the mid range, and then the low end like I have right now. Right now I have the 7600 XT, the 7800 XT, and the 7900 XT. So those are the ones that I'll be covering until the next set of AMD GPUs come out. I do buy these myself, and I will keep buying them so that I can give you, you know, the best information possible and help you understand or help you see that like AMD, it might have had a bad rap before, but man, the way these things are, I don't have any issues. So when I hear people, you know, talking about how the drivers are bad or any of that stuff, you have to remember that on the internet, there are people out there that refuse to try anything new, and they just would much rather spread disinformation or negative information about a product that they don't care about. And honestly, it's obviously a defense mechanism or something, because once you see, here's the thing, man, when you get home with your new AMD GPU and you uninstall all your Nvidia stuff and you put your AMD GPU in there and you just start playing with it, getting used to it, you know, you'll go through like a honeymoon phase, or you'll go through like this, or you'll go through like a phase where you're like, oh man, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. I promise you, if you hang in there for like a couple of weeks, all the stuff that you used to love on Nvidia is going to quickly go away, because you're going to see just how good, first of all, just how good the AMD experience is. And then once you actually get in there and start learning about it and seeing how different features work in the AMD Adrenalin software, you're gonna know. And trust me, I've had so many people that have come to the channel and been like, dude, you were right, this is awesome. So what is it that like we're seeing on AMD that a lot of people are just unwilling to give it a try? And they would you know, like there's so much that the AMD has. And okay, so take this for instance. Once you like get in to your game and you start playing and you notice that like, whoa, this is a pretty smooth experience, and then you go over and you notice that like, wow, man, I'm getting really decent frames, you're gonna be like, wow, dude, this is good. And then you like get into the driver software. You can alter your colors and all of that stuff. From what everybody tells me, you can do this on Nvidia too, but you know what, man, I can't find it. I couldn't find it. I could never get it to look like the AMD GPU, like right out of the box, and just playing around with some settings. It's really simple. And that's the thing with AMD, it's pretty simple. So when you're coming from like say your Xbox or your PlayStation 5, or maybe you've got an older class Nvidia GPU like a 10 series, maybe you're still rocking a 20 series, or maybe even a 900 series, like once you like switch over, I would say honestly, man, if you're really gonna like, if you're really considering AMD, the starting point that I would recommend getting into if you're used to that mid range is probably 7800 XT. If you're rocking like a 2070 Super or like your older cards or something, definitely consider possibly, for like an entry level like 7600 XT with 16 gigs. I know a lot of people out there are trying to give this card a bad name, but to tell you the truth, man, everything that I've thrown at that little monster, it runs just fine. Here in the next couple of days, I will be testing the 7600 XT up against the Xbox Series X version of Suicide Squad. So we'll see how that looks. We'll see how that plays out. We'll get some good footage, running across, and that's kind of like the base point for where I'm thinking that like console gamers could get into the PC space at a much more reasonable cost and be able to actually see like significant improvements just from the console version going over to PC. It really is. Oh, like visual wise, yeah, you're definitely going to notice visual wise because you're going to be able to crank out some native resolution. You're going to be able to get higher frame rates. You're going to see everything in the way that the game should be showing, and that's going to make you think. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, dude, like, is it really this much better? And we're talking entry level AMD GPU. We're talking entry level when a 7600 XT that's supposed to be a 1080p GPU can do 4K better than your Xbox Series X or your PS5. And I'm not saying that to like throw shade at the consoles because trust me, man, I've only been gaming on PC for a couple of years now. My main consoles were the Xbox Series X and the PS5. I was gung ho on the console thing, the beginning of this generation, and I've slowly started moving over to PC. And AMD is actually what made that even better for me because I was struggling with the 3080. I was like, man, I would much rather just play this on my Xbox. It looks better in my eyes for some reason. I don't know what it is about Nvidia and its visuals, man. It just doesn't do it for me. But AMD, 100% out of the box, was blowing me away and still blows me away to this day. But that's not to say that I'm taking a shot at the consoles because for $500 with the power draw and the performance and everything you get, like I was playing Suicide Squad on the Xbox Series X, and dude, I'm getting 60 frames a second with minimal frame drops. I'm getting really good image quality. So I mean, it's not there. What I'm really trying to do is kind of help the console community that are my age that actually have the resources to possibly invest in PC. And my goal is to try to help as many across as possible and help them get into the system that they want, because when it comes to PC gaming, man, there's so much misinformation out there. There's so much nonsense. Even I'm guilty of creating misinformation and nonsense in the PC space. And trust me, it's not on purpose. It's not on purpose. But sometimes I mess up. There's this little stupid thing in the games called the resolution scale. And sometimes the game just sets it for you at like 50%. And you're like, what the heck? You get in there and everything looks fine. So you're not thinking about anything. But then when you get out and you notice it, or somebody in the video calls you out for you're not being fair. Trust me, man, it's crazy. There's so much out there when it comes to PC. And most of the mainstream content creators and stuff are gonna try to funnel you towards Nvidia, and I kind of feel like that's disingenuous because it's kind of setting gamers up to fail, to be completely honest with you. Because let's face it, most people that are console gamers that are thinking, yeah, maybe I'll go try PC, they're going to do what I did and try to like not spend a whole bunch of money, and they're going to kind of gimp their overall experience, because if you go Nvidia, you're getting way less bang for your buck. You're going to spend anywhere from half as or one half more than or up to 2 times more for an experience on an Nvidia GPU, and then you're going to be like, gosh dang, man. And if it doesn't do it for you, if it doesn't please you, if you're stuck at certain settings, or you're running out of VRAM, or just any of the freaking annoying issues that come with Nvidia, it's kind of a nightmare. So if you choose AMD, choose a 16 gigabyte card. That way you know that you've got enough buffer to run the console settings and push above console settings. Make sure your CPU is at least an 8-core CPU. Make sure you've got a good PSU for whatever whatever GPU you choose. If you get a 7600 XT, you're like, a 600 PSU would probably be fine. If you go up to a 7800 XT, 758, anything bigger than that, 7900 XT, like 1,000 watt power. It calls for 750, but I do recommend more of a power supply on your first build, so that way if you want to upgrade, it's a lot easier. You don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. So the more you can invest in a power supply, the more you can invest in a CPU, the more you can invest in a motherboard. Those things right there actually matter and are going to increase the longevity of your PC, because once you get in here, there's probably a couple kind of people, when it comes to PC gaming. You're going to have the guys that are just like, oh man, I want to go buy a pre-built. I just want it. I don't want no hassle, no fuss, no nothing. And then you also have the guys that are like, yeah, man, I want to put this together. I want to, start out somewhere and start doing this kind of stuff, and they're not afraid to like take things apart. Yeah, PC gaming can be a hassle if you let it, but PC gaming can also be very, very rewarding. I'm not 100% against pre-builts like a lot of other PC gamers are. But I do recommend getting exactly what you want, and don't cheap out. Don't cheap out. You are going to pay more money if you go the pre-built way, but don't cheap out. Make sure you see what kind of parts are in there. Make sure you're getting exactly what you're paying for. Some of the and not all pre-builts are built the same. You're going to have like your Hewlett Packards or your Alienwares or like the name brands like Lenovo and all of that. But then you also have other stuff like NZXT and all the ones that are built to order type stuff. Get a built to order one. Get one of the ones that you buy all the parts, and then they put it together and they send it out to you. That is probably the best bet instead of buying when you do the proprietary stuff like HP and all of that. You're going to get a bunch of your system's going to get bogged down with a whole bunch of garbage and bloatware. You're going to have pretty much all the parts are going to be like proprietary and stuff. Like the 3060 Ti one that I bought, it was a proprietary card. The motherboard sucked. I couldn't even try to use the motherboard in this build. I had to buy a whole new build motherboard when I bought this. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can't use. Even the AIO water cooler was like some proprietary stuff, man. It's like they kind of cheap out on stuff to save you a little bit of money so that they could say, yeah, we got boosted specs, but then charge you way more than any of that stuff would have been. So yeah, I'm not against pre-builts, but I am to the point where I would recommend a part picker type thing and then have them build it, as opposed to you getting like a Dell or a name brand or anything like that. I just don't think you're getting as much bang for your buck as if you would just buy the parts and have somebody assemble them for you. Then at least you're going to get a good thing. Make sure you find a reputable dealer or something like that. You can even pick those kind of things up at Best Buy. You don't have to get like the HPs or anything like that. But I do recommend AMD as a starting point, especially if you're coming from PS5 or Xbox Series X. The visual quality is going to be like, whoa, man! It'd seriously be like getting an Xbox Series X2 and a PS5 Pro. Like, just you would be able to customize it and be able to do what you want. Yes, you can hook these PCs up to a TV. Yes, you can use it like a controller. You can use the controller. There's so many things that like make PC amazing. You're not going to have to worry about backwards compatibility most of the time. All your games are going to come with you. What else? You're not going to have to pay for freaking stupid upgrade fees. You don't have to pay to play games online. There's so much money that you save with PC that it's like when you get on Steam, they'll have sales. You can find games, and that's the beauty of it. That's like something that I've really enjoyed about PC a lot lately, is being able to go back and buy like those Generation 7 games or the Generation 8 or new games and see how see how much better they look on PC when you just literally crank everything out and turn up the resolution as high as you can, and you just look at like what those visuals should have looked like back in the days of like Xbox 360 and PS3. When you see that, like when you go into like, take for instance Castlevania Lords of Shadows, man, like going into that game at max settings is like, wow, this game had some incredible visuals. And it's something that you can't see that well back on like the 720p or the barely 1080p with like low textures and stuff. And this is the first console generation PS5 and Series X that we've actually gotten higher freaking quality visuals than we ever have. Seriously, like this is like the best we've ever seen in terms of like higher settings. This is incredible. Like Series X and PS5 are awesome, but my deal is if they're gonna put out mid-gen refreshes, you're probably better off going to PC. If that's the way these generations are gonna go, because Xbox, you could play every single Xbox game on the PC day and date. PlayStation is starting to do that as well. PlayStation's starting to bring their games to PC, so it won't be much longer till you can actually get that. And then you have the mother of all systems. You've got one system to play them all, except for Nintendo, of course, obviously. But it's awesome, and that's kind of my recommendation, man. I think the AMD's pretty dang good. Going from console to PC is not as big of a pain in the butt as it normally would be, and yeah, there's way too much misinformation about AMD. I've had it for 7 months. I've been rocking this stuff. I'm really loving it. I don't have any problems. I don't have any driver issues. I don't have any nonsense going on. So overall, my experience with AMD has been solid for 7 months. So, all right, my friends, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.